Hello, and welcome to another episode of Fertility Frontier from Her Helping Habit, where we are discussing egg donation, surrogacy, infertility, and a whole host of other subjects under the scope. Today we have Katie, the founder of Her Helping Habit, and a very special guest, Allie, who has recently become a mom with the help of egg donation. And we are thrilled to have her today and know more about her story. Welcome you to the podcast, you guys.
Hey, Shruti. It's great to be part of this podcast. Looking forward to chatting with you and having some fun today.
So, first things first, I want to extend my heartfelt thank you for being here and for opening up about your experience.
Yeah, just to add to that, I want to thank you as well, Allie, for being here and just being so vulnerable, opening yourself up like this and sharing not only with just Shruti and myself, but with everybody who's listening, your story of how you've become, how you came to be a mom, but with the help of an egg donor.
To kick things off, I would love to know a little bit about your story, how you came to the decision of using egg donors. Yeah, could you please walk us through that?
So our journey of becoming parents via egg donation started quite a few years ago. We had struggled with infertility for quite a few years. We did a year of medicated cycles before moving on to IVF using my own eggs. It was at that time that we were told that kind of our only option to possibly having children would be via egg donation. We were given a less than 5% chance of having a child using my own eggs. So obviously it wasn't a path that we chose, but it was a path that we were given. And now looking back, I wouldn't change a thing about it. It was just the way God has intended our life to work out.
Aw, thanks, Allie. See, that I think is just such a powerful and beautiful statement to acknowledge that, had your eggs worked, your daughter would be a totally different person, and that you are so happy and really grateful that this is the path you landed on. Like you said, you wouldn't choose it, but you're so grateful this is where you ended up. And I think that's just really powerful for any of our listeners who might be in your shoes where you were a couple years ago. So thank you for that. Just moving on, I got another question. I'm wondering, when you were going through the donor selection, if there was anything like particular that really mattered to you when you were looking for a donor. Like, how did you decide who to pick?
So some of the key factors that led us to the decision of using an egg donor was that we just wanted to have a baby. And that was the option that we were given to become parents. So obviously getting that diagnosis wasn't easy. It's not something that you even think about. So when we got told that, it was a really hard process to navigate. You almost go through the stages of grief. I was definitely grieving my own genetics. I was in denial about the whole thing. It made me angry. Definitely it gives you a sense of depression. You are all of a sudden grieving these genetics that you thought one day you would pass on to your children. Not even physical, but everything about you. Like, you go through life and you always wonder, like, I wonder if they'll have my eyes. I wonder if they'll look like me. I wonder if they'll have my same quirkiness. Like, there's all these things that go into account that you really don't think about until all of a sudden they're stripped from you. So that was a really hard thing for me to process. I definitely struggled with grieving my own genetics. However, I was really lucky that the whole thing wasn't very long for me. It took me about 2 months between finding out that using egg donation would be our best bet to choosing our donor. I worked through the process really quickly because at the end of the day, becoming a mom was the most important thing to me. And so me and my husband, we sat down and we just started going through our options. Our clinic gave us the choice of using 3 different egg banks, all based out of the US. So essentially you would buy a cohort of frozen eggs. They all get shipped from the US. The donors are kind of from all over the world. And so at the time, that is all we knew. didn't know about known donors. We didn't even know about like getting our eggs from Canada. Like this is what we were told was our options. And that is kind of what we went with. Obviously knowing now what I know, I would have chose maybe a different route, but probably not, because I still had my beautiful baby from it. And so I wouldn't change our journey. And so some of the criteria that we went through when choosing our donor, I was really set on physical. I was so set on having my baby look like me for some reason, and I was really hell bent on her having blue eyes, or it having blue eyes. And I think that was just me kind of gripping at anything that would portray me, because it was a hard process to come to grips with, right? And so looking back, it seems so silly, but physical things really meant a big thing for me. Obviously, health was a huge thing too. And so looking for our donor, the health was a big thing for us. And fortunately, we were so lucky. We actually found a donor relatively quickly, and she has a lot of my same characteristics. She physically looks a lot like me. I mean, same height, same weight. Um, she has a very good family dynamic, it seemed like, and her health history was very clean. So we got really lucky. We found, the perfect donor. So at the end of the day, we kind of were constantly reminding ourselves, the situation's not ideal, but we got the best of the best considering the situation. Um, Even though it was really emotional to go through the egg donation process, it was just constantly reminding yourself that the end goal is to become a mom. And that is what kept me going through the whole thing. The whole world of egg donation is a very quiet place. You don't hear about it. People don't talk openly about it. So it was all of a sudden this foreign thing that we now had to navigate. As you're struggling with infertility, like it is such a huge emotional process to go through. And so you really need to take the time to work through those processes, and figure out, what matters most to you.
I'm wondering how the legal aspect of everything worked for you, because you ordered eggs from a bank and they shipped them up to Canada from the US. And that's entirely different than like what I'm familiar with in terms of egg donation, because in Canada it typically it's a fresh direct donation from like donor to recipient. So there's like a legal contract drawn up between the parent and the egg donor. If you don't know your egg donor, like how does that whole legal process work?
Our legalities and logistics of the whole egg donation process in our journey was actually quite minimal. She had done a lot of legalities with the clinic, way before we even got involved. And, when we purchased the eggs, basically we just had to sign a few forms that said that, we were the recipients of these eggs, and we were the people that were going to use them, and us alone. And that was kind of it. So we didn't actually have too much legalities involved in our process.
Okay, now I'm a bit interested in something else. So, when you and your partner decided to become parents through egg donation, did it somehow impact the relationship between both of you guys, or did the family dynamics change somehow?
Our family dynamics since becoming parents via egg donation really hasn't changed. Our family has always been really close. I have a great family support. They were all with me through the journey, and I was very blessed that there was no negativity with it at all. My relationship with my husband, I definitely brought us closer. We, not only were we deciding to bring a child into the world, but now we had to do it using someone else's eggs. So there was a lot of conversations that, most couples don't usually have, that we had to have. And, it really brought us closer in the sense that he was always kind of roping me back in and reassuring me when I would kind of, spiral out with all of these concerns and crazy questions, which, so yeah, our relationship with our families and with each other, it definitely brought us all closer. And now we have this beautiful baby, and, we couldn't be happier.
So, one thing I'm getting curious about is when you and your partner were in the journey of parenthood, what were some of the misconceptions or myths you guys found regarding egg donation, or what was the experience like?
So some kind of like misconceptions or myths about egg donation. You know, back in the day, it was always like a hush hush thing. You know, if you used a donor, whether egg or sperm, you just didn't tell the child, and you just accepted it as your own, and everything was good to go. And nowadays that's such a silly thing. I mean, these are people, and this is their history. Now that we're fully immersed in the world, I mean, it's second nature for us to talk about this. Our kids will never feel like this is a taboo subject. It's just, it's their life, and it's all that they will ever know.
So, since you used an anonymous donor, can you tell us how you feel about known donors now?
Using the known and the unknown, people have this idea that a known donor is going to, come after your kids and try and influence your parenting style and all of that. And the fact is, it's not true. I mean, this is your child. They are just giving you, the gift of life, essentially. They're offering you this small part that, you maybe wouldn't have a child if it weren't for them. So knowing your donor and, having that relationship with them, even it is a very like minimal relationship, it's just knowing that your children have a good foundation to go off of to start their life.
Oh my God, I could not agree more. I would say that from my personal point of view, non donation is the future.
So, one of the questions Shruti and I really wanted to ask you when we were brainstorming for this podcast, our list of questions, is how you feel about your daughter now that she's here, and if that like biological link, like if that matters as much as you thought it would. Do you see yourself in her? Do you see your egg donor? Like how does that genetic piece feel for you now?
My perspective on family and like biological ties after using an egg donor, it really hasn't changed. I have from a very strong family background, and I still firmly believe on having a strong family. And so, to us, our daughter is ours through and through. There is no, I never go back and think like, ooh, where'd she get that from or anything like that. Like, she is through and through my baby. I don't even question about how we got her. I mean, I borrowed an egg, but I grew her. So knowing that is huge for me. I mean, yeah, my perspective on family will always be that. And it's a wild journey that we got here, but it's our journey, and it's how we became, the family that we are. And it's not a shameful thing. And I really, I want to be open about that. Yes. And I want to tell her that, she might not get this trait from mom or dad, but essentially, we are her parents, and we love her, and we support any decision she makes. So, at the end of the day, that's the only goal, is to raise good kids.
Okay, so with your role as a team member with Her Helping Habit, working with the intended parents, working with various donors, how do you think your personal experience has helped you be better at what you do?
I hope that working with Her Helping Habit and working with intended parents, I hope that my personal experience and journey can kind of inform and guide other intended parents to kind of make that decision, an informed decision, before they jump into it. I really hope that I can be that person that I didn't have. A shoulder to lean on, and kind of, just somebody to converse with that is going through that same thing. There's not a lot of people that, I mean, you can reach out to when you're in the thick of it. And so I really hope that working with Her Helping Habit, I can be that voice, for intended parents. I hope that they can feel comfortable reaching out and asking. And it is such a beautiful thing. And just reminding people that this is a really hard journey, but at the end of it, it is so worth it. And I hope that from our experience that we can, help and support and guide these other intended parents to that same, beautiful gift at the end.
And what are the few resources or organizations would you recommend to our intended parents who are currently considering or even thinking about egg donation to build their family, or to people who are looking for more answers on egg donation or becoming parents on egg donation? Is there any website they can go to? Is there any blog they can go to?
Resources and organizations that I would recommend for parents who are considering egg donation would firstly be Her Helping Habit, reaching out to a company that has real live donors. It is super helpful. Katie is super informative about, the whole process and everything like that. And then another one that really worked for us was Three Makes a Baby. It was a book, on how to parent an egg donor conceived child. And we would actually go through it sitting in bed at night. And it just kind of helps you kind of navigate those awkward questions, those awkward moments in life. And to be honest with you, we haven't even opened it since we've had our daughter. It's just, this is our journey. This is our life now. It's not even something we have to think about. It's just, we talk openly about it. And yeah, so definitely look up your resources, organizations. There is lots out there once you start diving into it. Do not solely rely on your clinic. Your clinics are very transactional, and it's a really sad world, but that's just, how it is. So, they send you to these giant egg banks who are pulling people from all over the world, and you don't really have any other option. And that's what we felt like. So after, knowing this world now a little bit more thoroughly, I would definitely, look up my other resources for sure.
Okay, one thing I would love to know is that how was your husband's reaction in this whole situation?
My husband has always been very calm and cool and collective about this whole thing. It didn't even faze him really. Like, he was very supportive of my emotions when we were going through the journey, but he's always been very, he always reels me back in. So he's been great through the whole thing. His experiences, it hasn't really changed him. He's kind of like, this is the way that we made our family, and that's great, and this is the way we're doing it. So for him, when you ask him questions, it doesn't even really faze him, and he doesn't even think twice about it.
And is there any advice you would give to the intended parents who are considering using egg donation?
Any advice that I would give to intended parents who are considering egg donation would be do your research. We didn't have anywhere really to reach out to. We fully believed our clinic. We followed our doctor orders to use the egg banks that they suggested. I would Google things, and that was kind of, where my search stopped. I followed a few Instagram people that I found that were parents to egg donation babies. And that was kind of it. I didn't really have anybody to turn to ask. I mean, even small questions. And so since entering, this kind of world, after working with Her Helping Habit and seeing, the different options out there, like, definitely do your research. We were not made aware of any known donor situations. Our clinic, highly kind of pushed past that. When I had thought about using a known donor to myself, they were not a fan of that. It was really closed off. And I think that if you are a parent that is considering using egg donation, really do your research, take the time you need to grieve. It's a big step in life. You're essentially looking through a catalog, deciding a woman to shape your children, kind of this person that you're choosing is a huge part of your life. And whether you know them or not, that's your call at the end of the day, but things can change drastically in life. So with an unknown donor like we have, if her health history changes, if our children have questions as they grow up, we will never be able to answer those questions. She will never tell us if all of a sudden she's diagnosed with some rare disease. So there is things that I do wish I could have went back and changed. And I would hope that if anybody was intending to use the egg donation process, to really do their research based on that.
Thank you so much, Allie. I really appreciate you sitting through all these questions and going through all the nitty-gritties. To our listeners, if you have found inspiration or comfort in today's episode, Do not forget to subscribe Fertility Frontier for more stories that celebrate diverse and beautiful tapestry of parenthood, the journey of egg donation. Don't forget to subscribe our social media platforms, check out our website. Until then, spread love, take care, bye-bye.